I built this custom on rock and roll. In this video, I'm going to look at my customized G.I. Joe Classified Rock and Roll, who becomes my G.I. Joe Classified Beastmode custom action figure. So, as per the request of Little Leaf Creations, I'm going to take you through the process of customizing with me. So let's do all of that on TAKTAK Toys With Film. So yeah, welcome back to TAKTAK Toys With Film. As you can see here, this is the packaging for Rock and Roll, and I'm going to do something a little different in this video. I'm going to basically run through a sort of semi-small review of Rock and Roll. So you're getting your money's worth here. You're getting a 2-for-1. Essentially, most collectors in the UK are probably going to have Rock and Roll in hand by now, either from Hasbro Pulse or the UK independent retailers. So with that in mind, yeah, I'm going to first take you through Rock and Roll, you know, go through his articulation, all that kind of thing, and then we're going to look at how I customized him. Now, when I start off doing a custom, I've got no idea how it will end. That's the same in this video, so just the same as you. I had no idea what it would turn out like, but let's go on the journey together. So let's do that. And just remember, this video is not for kids, so keep that in mind. And yeah, let's have a look at my custom beast mode now on TAKTAK Toys With Film. So yeah, so as I say, I'm going to do a brief review of Classified Rock and Roll. This is the sort of packaging of Rock and Roll. So again, it's windowless packaging, as you can see here. It's got a sort of an art picture of Rock and Roll on the front, sort of with one of his hands doing a kind of rock and roll expression, obviously holding his big gun. You've got kind of another image there of Rock and Roll's face with the artwork, and at the top of the box you can see kind of what he comes with. So he comes with some spare sets of hands, obviously his big gun, set of bullets, small handgun, a holder for the bullets on the gun. I'm not very good with gun terminology, so apologies. The helmet, obviously, which is removable. Strangely, when I remove the helmet, he sort of looks like Prince Harry to me, which is a little bit odd. Or former Prince Harry, of course, Harry and Meghan now. Obviously, it's not an intentional likeness, but it just kind of had that likeness to me. But yeah, obviously, it's not based on anyone real, but it's actually a really, really good figure as well. I often, when I get really good figures, I'm inclined not to want to customize them. I will be getting another Rock and Roll for my collection from Props and Replicas, and also one to customize from the whole shebang. But I got this one from TAKTAK Toys, and I thought, let's do a video on it. Yeah, and here's the side of the packaging, and obviously Rock and Roll is number 71 in the Classified series, so you can see here they're all numbered as per usual. He's number 71. You can see a sort of bit of artwork of the character in the background there. Moving on to the back of packaging, you can see a digital render of Craig Rock and Roll McConnell. Obviously what he comes with, again, you can see a picture of his tattooed arms, but it comes with a helmet, spare hands, a sort of amount of bullets which are plugged into the gun, handgun, and the large gun itself and the bullet chamber for the gun. Apologies, I'm not a gun person, so I don't know the terminology of the guns. But yeah, that's essentially what the back of the packaging looks like. And then we're going to move on to the side of the packaging in just a moment. So yeah, there's a small write-up actually I can see in the bottom, but you can pause the video if you want to read that write-up. And then we've got the other side of the video showing, other side of the packaging showing some lovely artwork of Rock and Roll. So again, there's some great artwork. Classified do some great artwork on their packaging, and yeah, this one's no different. And here's the top of the packaging saying G.I. Joe Classified series. So yeah, really nice packaging. Would be nice if it's had window in it, but we're going to return to window packaging pretty soon. This is obviously windowless packaging. Here's Craig Rock and Roll McConnell out of packaging. And you know, when I got him in hand, he's actually an excellent figure, really, really smooth, great articulation. I actually was a bit hesitant to customize him, but as I say, I have got another one coming from Props and Replicas, and also one for the whole shebang to customize. Here's the insert that he came in. Some lovely artwork again of him in the insert. Yeah, so he comes inside that packaging. There we go, with a lovely insert. He's obviously cable tied to the box like all G.I. Joe figures, and you just have to release him. He does come with some accessories which we're going to go over in a moment. We'll just sort of get that, but yeah, again, really, really lovely packaging. Here's the accessories it comes with. They're always bagged up, these accessories, in kind of, yeah, a small little bag. But yeah, opening those up, we'll see what he comes with now. Just gonna open the bag, the accessories. Yeah, the bag of accessories up, I should say, sorry. And he comes with a little handgun, sort of 2 spare sets of hands, as we saw on the packaging. You know, one doing the rock and roll motif, one doing the regular motif, a handgun, various bullets, and yeah, all that kind of good stuff, which you can obviously swap out on the figure as required. As I say, the helmet is removable, but yeah, he comes with all those little bits and bobs. It is good to see a classified figure with a spare set of hands. It's definitely something fans have been asking for. They've been asking for extra sets of hands with the figures. Obviously, Cobra Commander did come with an extra set of hands, but yeah, this is, you know, this is what we want to see more of in the line. Spare sets of hands, you know, sort of additional heads would be great as well. Heads with expressions, all that kind of good stuff. And here's rock and roll, yeah, with his helmet on, just showing him there. And yeah, there's all the little pieces. He comes with a walkie-talkie as well. Sorry, I should say, it does come with a walkie-talkie. But yeah, I mean, you know, always good. The one good thing about Classified, there's the sort of ammo pack that fits on the side of the gun. The one good thing about Classified is it does come, the figures do come chocked full of accessories. Here's his handgun, yeah, which you can see there, fits into a holster on his thigh. His fisted hand, as you can see there. The rock and roll expression hand that you can see there, yep, in use there, or which can be fitted to him there, yeah. And yeah, all just sort of, you know, an extra ammo stack, and there's the sort of main ammo stack that feeds into the gun and the ammo bit. But yeah, that's all his accessories. Okay, and let's have a look at the articulation on rock and roll. As you can see there, the head goes up and down. Helmet is removable, as you can see. The head does go in a 360-degree motion, which we're going to see just now. Yeah, and up and down, as you see there, a decent amount. Yep, so great. It's on a ball joint, I think. Arms go out to 90 degrees. Full rotation at the shoulders. You've got double jointed elbows, as you can see there, yeah, in use. Yep, double jointed elbow. Full wrist rotation, as you can see there. Yep. Yeah, and of course on the other side exactly the same thing. You've got butterfly joints as well. Yep, you can get some really good range of motion there on the double jointed elbows. So again, arm goes out to 90 degrees on this side, full shoulder rotation, double jointed elbow. Yeah, wrist goes out and goes in a 360-degree motion. Again, there you can see, and obviously you've got the butterfly joints to help with articulation. The waist is on a ab crunch there. You got on this complete swivel, 360-degree swivel, as you'd expect. Yeah, so there we go. That's that in use. You've got the thigh cuts, double jointed knee, as you can expect there. Yeah, so there's a thigh cut in use going around. Double jointed knees. You've got boot cuts, obviously, as well, which you'll see in use, and ankle articulations. So yeah, all the standard articulation that you'd expect on a G.I. Joe classified figure. So yeah, everything you'd expect, you know, thigh cuts, double jointed knees, boot cuts, ankle articulation, obviously at the top, everything you'd expect in terms of double jointed elbows, full wrist rotation. Helmet can be put back on there, as you can see there. Yeah. Again, it's weird. I don't know why it gives me Prince Harry vibes when I've got the helmet off. It's just something I noticed, but or Harry, I should say, Harry and Meghan. I keep saying that. Here's his gun, his massive gun, so it fits easily into his hand, as you'd expect. And like I say, it does come with sort of separate hands to give it one with a rock and roll sort of expression, and the other one being fisted. But here he is, and there's the sort of ammo pouch, which fits into the side of the gun. I glued this on when I did the custom, but you'll see that in full when I've sort of finished all the work on the custom, which is just coming up later in the video. I know that's the part you're probably dying to see, but obviously I just want to go through all the parts of the video, so first showing you what rock and roll is like out of the packaging, essentially a review, and then moving on to how I customized. I know you're eager to see that, but we'll get there. But yeah, here's rock and roll posed up, ready for battle. And if you're enjoying this video so far, don't forget to sort of smash the like button. Feel free to sort of comment and subscribe down below. You know, if you've got any questions about customizing, obviously I'm gonna go through all the process in a minute, but if you've got any questions about customizing, feel free to let me know. Yeah, feel free to smash the like button, share the video with anyone you might think like it. Yeah, subscribe, as I say. Any questions or comments you got about customizing, just let me know in the comments down below. Okay, and here we are at the bathroom sink. You're going to see it in a moment. Yep, my family obviously absolutely adore when I start customizing, because I basically ruin the place, so it's suitable to find a sort of good place to do the customizing. So without further ado, let's get into the process. The first thing I'm going to do, this is my Dremel that I use. Now I find this essential for customizing. The head I've got on it's the sanding head. I put it on the low setting of about 5. It's very powerful, so you don't need to put it on a very high setting. A very low setting will do. If you put it on too high a setting, you may end up damaging the figure because of how powerful it is. So yeah, you're going to see the exact process. So I take off the head. Here we go to the neck joint, and I'm basically just removing the top layer of plastic using the sanding head on the Dremel, just going up and down. Obviously Dremel's on. Dremel's quite loud, I should say, so you're probably going to hear it in the background of this video while I'm talking. Probably may need to raise my voice a bit, but yeah, I'm basically just sanding. It's in essence sanding the neck joint. As you can see, there's a lot of what you might call flashing or excess plastic kind of accumulating as I'm dremeling it. It's worth noting you should wear a face mask while doing this, and probably eye protection, because the plastic will fly off. You can breathe it in as well, so it's worth noting to wear a face mask and particularly eye protection if possible. So yeah, basically I'm going to do this to every single joint on the figure, but starting off with the neck. I start off with the neck and move down, basically just very lightly, very gently, sanding it up and down. The less experience you have with customizing, I'd say just take your time, just do it very gently, sort of sand that area so you don't trim off too much. As you can see, there's bits of plastic flying all over the Dremel, because you can see all the bits on it. There's bits of plastic going in the sink, so you will need to clean up after you've kind of done this. But yeah, you just keep going over it. It's a bit of a trial and error process this stage. Essentially, the reason you're doing this, probably the $1 million question you may want to know, is why you're doing this. Well, you're basically doing this to avoid paint rub when you actually get to the later stages of customizing, because you're next going to sand it, as you can see here. Got the sandpaper. You can get a couple of different grits of sandpaper. This is probably about 200 or 400 grit, but you know, if you have a couple of different ones, it definitely helps. So as you can see, I'm just sanding the neck. There we go. Literally just sanding off all that excess plastic that has accumulated after I've been dremeling the joint. So you can either do this all at the end, or you can do it as you go along. It just depends what mood I'm in, really. Sometimes I'll do it as I go along, like I'm doing here. I'm doing this for the purpose of the video, to show you as I do it as I go along. But sometimes I'll go Dremel all the joints and then do it at the end. But yeah, I'm basically sanding off the excess plastic, so that when I come to paint it, obviously that won't be there, and you know, it will look like a professional, you know, look like a figure you've bought, basically, and it helps eliminate paint rubs. So the end process, yeah, that's kind of a rough idea of the end process. Obviously going to look, so I'm going to keep sanding it off camera, but that's essentially what you want to do. Just pop the head back on, and yeah, articulation works fine, just as you can see there. Again, if you're enjoying this video so far, smash the like button, share the video with anyone you think might like it, and subscribe. And if you've got any questions about what you've seen so far, don't be afraid to sort of ask in the comments. I'll happily answer them. So I'm going to give you all the steps, as I say, but you know, some of the stuff I'm going to have to do off camera just because of how difficult it is to do on camera. So again, same process, but moving on to the shoulder joint now. Yeah, as you can see there, me pointing at the shoulder joint. So I'm literally going to switch the Dremel on and just, yeah, go up and down on the shoulder joint. Again, this is to eliminate paint rub, so that when I come to prime it and paint it, you know, you won't get any paint rub on the joints. Now, when I first did customizing way back when, I mean, it was a long time ago as well, probably the early 2000s, so I've probably been doing it for over 23 years. The first couple of customs I did with Marvel Legends, and one in particular was the Deadpool, but it was like Epic Heroes Deadpool or something like that, and I didn't prep the joints because I didn't know about it. And what essentially happens is, if you don't prep the joints like this before you paint the figure, the joints freeze up and you've got a statue, essentially. So the reason I'm doing this is so that you can pose, display and play with your figure as required once you've finished painting it. So as you can see there, I'm actually peeling off the plastic by hand. I am going to sand it though afterwards, but yeah, you can peel it off as well by hand as you go along, but in essence you'll need to sand it afterwards, because obviously it looks quite rough like that, doesn't it? You can't just leave it like that. You want to give it a smooth kind of finish. So again, just sanding it. This will require a lot of sanding. This is probably the elbow work of customizing. You know, this is probably the hard part, the sort of most elbow grease, or hard, you know, I don't want to say hardest part, but it's kind of the most chore-like, where you're just prepping the figure. But you know, I find customizing a bug now. Sometimes it can be a bit of a chore, this part, and obviously a lot of people just want to jump to the painting side of things. As you can see, I'm just pointing out all the areas I'm going to do, and it is everything. It's like literally everything part you can think of. I'm going to do that process to yeah, sand out, Dremel and sand down. But if you do these steps beforehand, you know, you're going it will give such a nice finish to your custom at the end. So as you can see here, I've dremeled every single part. Again, as I said, I did it off camera because you get the idea. I've literally dremeled every single part: the waist, the elbows, you know, the wrists, the hip joints, the knees. Dremeled it all. The boot cut, yeah, I dremeled around the boot cut. The ankle articulation, I dremel around the boot cut and the thigh cut a bit more than usual, because without dremeling those areas, they can lock up if you don't do that before you paint them. So yeah, as you can see, everything has been dremeled. So, and that's again removing the top layer of plastic, so that when I apply the paint and the primer, or the primer and the paint, it won't cause paint rub when you articulate the figure. So yep, he's all done, and we're going to move on to the next stage in a minute. But yeah, I mean, it is time consuming. It does take a bit of time, but this is the sort of donkey work of customizing for the latter part. So yeah, as you can see, just sort of going through everything again. Articulation still works as normal because I've done all this. Right, and let's move on to the next step. And here he is. He's been sanded completely. Now again, it's trial and error with this. Sometimes it depends on the figure. Sometimes I will need to go back and sand a bit more after I've primed it, but in this case, he's a really good figure. Sanded it and was able to go. And I'm going to show you the next step now, which is priming the figure. So I use something called Vallejo primer. You can buy this on Amazon, both Amazon UK and Amazon US. I'll put a link in the comments below for Vallejo. I used to use Citadel primer, but they stopped making it. So here's the primer. It's literally on a paintbrush, and you just paint it on. Now obviously, as you can see, it's not sticking to the plastic here, and the reason for that is because the first sort of couple of layers won't stick to the plastic. Now imagine if this was paint. That's essentially what would happen if you tried to paint straight onto your figure. You know, people do it. They dry brush, what's called, but I used you know, obviously what I do is add a drop of water. In this case, I've used a drop of spit. I know, really classy, but use a drop of water, add it to your Vallejo paint, or primer, to thin it out, and then paint it on. And now obviously it's not sticking yet, but you just keep going. You don't get disheartened by that, because you see, this is the end result. That's 2 coats of Vallejo primer. I know he looks like the sort of army men that we've got, you know, from when we were children, you know, the sort of army men on those bases. That's what he looks like. But again, the reason I've done this is so now the paint will stick to the surface. So when we go to paint him, the paint is going to stick to the surface. So yeah, he's been primed up. I have this is probably something I should talk about. I have heated up the helmet with a hairdryer and expanded it. And the reason for that is, and I'll do the same with the hands and also the gun in the holster. The reason for that is because when you paint it, again, it's to avoid paint rub. You expand those surfaces, because when you add paint to them, they're going to rub together, right? So the helmet's going to rub against the head, the hands are going to rub against the gun is going to rub against the inside of the holster. So if you heat them up with a hairdryer, about 1 to 2 minutes. This is the paint I'm using, by the way. It's Citadel black paint. I'm going to paint his t-shirt black. But yeah, as I was saying, if you heat those things up and expand them a bit for 60 seconds to 2 minutes, you create a gap, and then you avoid paint rub. Again, that takes a bit of practice, but you'll get there. So here I am about to paint onto well, beast mode now, but I was going to say rock and roll's t-shirt, so you'll see that coming up. Literally, I use an egg cup as a mixer. You can use whatever you need, but yeah, it's just a case of literally painting it on. As you can you see there the difference, how smoothly the paint sits on the primer. Again, if I hadn't used the primer, what I'd find would be the first couple of layers, it would be like how it didn't stick, and you'd have to keep reapplying layers. But with primer on like this, it's so easy, so smooth, it just goes on. And this is what I'm talking about, you see. The prep work behind doing a custom is what gives you the sort of easier steps towards the end. Basically, customizing is 90% prep work and 10% artistry, and that might surprise you. And a lot of customizers will gatekeep this, all the stuff I'm showing you here in a video from you, but that's what it is. That's what it's down to. So you keep painting away. I'm painting a black t-shirt. I've got no idea how this is going to turn out, by the way. So you'll see I do a lot of this off camera because I haven't done a blueprint with this, and that's just experience for me. That's just years of customizing and experience that I can come up with it, you know, as I'm going along. If you're not sure, go and find an image off Google, go and find a reference image of something you want to use. But here's his t-shirt painted all black. So that's the first step. Obviously I'm going to paint the flesh tones flesh colored. I'm going to probably paint the trousers, well, I say probably, I know I'm going to do it because I've finished the video, but I end up painting the trousers green. Paint the ammo belt sort of a few shades of green. This is where you can start to have fun once you've got the base layers down. So again, that's the primer that I used, the Vallejo primer, which is all the surface making him green. You can get primers in different colors, doesn't have to be green. You can get flesh colored primers, you can get black primer, white primer. The primer you use again will change the sort of look on the figure. If you use white primer, you'll get quite a cartoonish look. If you use black primer, you'll get a more realistic look. So just a little tip for you. Again, that's the paint I use, Citadel base paint. Again, there's different types of Citadel paints. In fact, different paints give different finishes. So the type of paint I'm using is Citadel. I'm used to using Citadel. You can use Tamayana, you can use Model Masters. Avoid using acrylic paints from art shops and things because they're not meant for customizing those kind of paints. So you want acrylic paints and you want things like Model Masters, Tamayana, Citadel, any of these type of paints. And here he is finished. This is beast mode. So again, as I say, I've done it off camera because I find painting hard on camera, so I did all this off camera, but that's it. Essentially I painted everything just as you see there, like painted in flesh coloured. The flesh coloured area is flesh. That's his black t-shirt done. Painted his helmet dark green. The ammo belts, or the ammo on his chest, a few shades, different shades of green. His trousers are different shade of green again. But once you get used to customizing, once you've painted a base layer, you can then start to experiment with sort of layers on top of that. Again, the one key thing is add a drop of water, sorry, to all your paints, so that you thin the paints out to control them better, and you know they don't look too thick on your figure. So now I'm going to seal the figure. This is the last step. You don't have to do this step if you follow all the steps I've done previously, but it just gives a nice finish to the figure. So I'm using Mod Podge, which is like a glue. If you get an old paintbrush you've got, and paint that all over the figure. Now it paints on white, but it dries clear. So you're going to see it looks like he's got a bit overexcited when I paint it on him, but or maybe I've got a bit overexcited, but yeah, this will dry clear. Again, mix this generously with quite a lot of water because it's a glue in essence. So remember, when you're articulating the figure, if you put it on too thick, it will sort of like hinder a bit of articulation. So you want the consistency of about milk. But yeah, just paint it on. I mix it in the sort of what's the right word, the lid, that's the word I was looking for, the lid of the Mod Podge, and here he is finished. There we go, that's what he looks like with the Mod Podge all on him. So yeah, completely painted up. As I say, I heated up with a hairdryer the helmet, I heated up the hands, I heated up the gun holster, again only for about 60 seconds. There's his rock and roll expression hand, there you go, you can see, and he's coming with his fisted hand in a minute. You'll see that now. Yeah, there you go, there's his fisted hand, again painted up completely by me. Same process, exact same process as what I did to the figure, just in smaller. There's his sort of miniature ammo belt painted in green, or miniature ammo stack I should say, painted in green. And yeah, I mean, just painted the whole thing. Well, you've seen it now. Normally when I say I've painted them, you may not know what I mean. This is exactly what I mean. So yeah, painted the helmet, it is removable, painted the entire figure. Like I said, I've been able to come up with this paint scheme because it's my experience of customizing. I had plenty of occasions when I was first customizing where I'd start with the paint scheme, didn't like it, have to go back to basics. You want to try and keep the amount of painting you do, you want to keep a certain amount. 2 coats is probably a good rule of thumb. 2 coats of primer, 2 coats of paint maximum. You can put more, but if you put more, it may like look a bit thick on the figure and may sort of ruin the overall look. So here I may even only have used one coat of paint really, I think. Maybe, no, I've used a couple of, I know on the flesh I've used a couple of coats, because I've used the base coat of flesh and then a layer paint. I've probably only used maybe 1 or 2 coats for the black t-shirt and the green trousers. I've used a couple of coats, but you get the idea. That's all there is to it. But again, the key thing to remember, customization is 90% prep work, as you've seen in this video, and 10% painting. Now, like I say, I haven't shown you all the painting on camera, and just because it's a bit hard to do, I wouldn't have really been able to paint and talk to you at the same time and come up with this paint scheme. So that's the first reason. And secondly, I want you to learn. I'm happy to sort of share my knowledge with you, and any questions you've got, ask me in the comments below. But also, the best way of customizing is to learn, and I went through trial and error in essence. So, you know, if this video has inspired you, grab yourself your paintbrushes, get yourself some cheap paintbrushes off Amazon, or even fairly expensive ones, all different sizes. Get yourself some Citadel paints. Get yourself a cheap Marvel Legends, or, you know, whatever sort of you collect, Black Series, well, in my case G.I. Joe Custom Classified. Get yourself whatever you want on a cheaper thing. Just follow these steps. Get yourself a Dremel. Dremel will be fairly expensive, but you can get a hobby Dremel for about, well, £60 in the UK. I mean, my one at the time cost 80 to 90. But here's some other videos you can check out. Toff and Blame Bunker Buster Mac, my customs, G.I. Joe Classified 007, my Barbecue Trooper and Espionage Viper, and my review of the Super 7 Ultimates Bat. And link for all these videos in the comments below. And for great places to purchase and pre-order action figures, you can check out Comics and Cocktails. Feel free to check out Props and Replicas. You can also check out The Whole Shebang. These are all great UK independent retailers stocking a whole of our favourite action figures. You can check out Kapow Toys. Feel free to check out the excellent Valaverse for all your Action Force needs with international shipping. Check out Star Action Figures. You can of course check out all the cool stuff, and feel free to check out Gobsmack Comics, and here it comes, there you go. And finally, feel free to check out In Demand Toys, and links for all these online independent UK retailers are all excellent, and the excellent Valaverse in the comments below. And for all that is film and TV reviews, check out Film and TV Review YouTube channel, link for that in the comments below. And for all the latest Marvel Legends news, reviews and live streams with co-host Rich M, check out Dan Who Reviews. For action figure reviews and news in the UK, check out Jay's Toy Collection UK. For action figure reviews stateside, check out Miguel and the Wolfpack Toy Review. For action figure reviews in Ireland, check out Brian's Action Figure Reviews. For action figure reviews stateside again, for all things Mythic Legions, Cosmic Legions and more, check out Trevor the 1/6 Shooter. For pop culture chat and action figure discussion, check out the Infinity Equation. Check out Austin the Hero of Collectors. Check out the 3POA podcast for action figure chat and pop culture discussion. For toy photography tips and tricks, check out Toy Picks. For all your favourite pop music covers, check out Elson Official Music. And again, links for all these great YouTube channels will be in the comments below. Check out Cypher Sigma as well for toy news and film reviews. So again, thanks for watching. Your support makes all these videos possible. I'm cooking a roast chicken at the minute, and the beeps in the oven are going. I don't know if you can hear it in the background. But until next time, just make sure you enjoy those flicks and figs.